Hello and welcome back to Sparrows and Home and Garden. I'm Mel and I make videos about my home and garden, and in today's video I'm going to do a what I'm sowing in April. I really love watching these videos because I'm really nosy. I like to know what varieties people are growing, and often I just want to see if there's anything that I could be sowing that I might be missing out on. So what I've done is I've gone through all of the seeds that I've got already and I've divided them into flowers and vegetables, and then within the vegetables I'm going to be talking about whether I'm sowing them under cover or if I'm sowing them direct into the soil. So let's start with the flowers. Okay, so my first flower seeds then that I'm going to sow direct outside are these calendula seeds in this scabby old envelope of mine that I collected them in last year. So I have a lot of self-seeded calendula at the allotment. Never comes up where you want it to, but what I thought I would do is just collect the seed. I used to have a load of calendula in the back garden that used to self-seed every year, and then I don't know what happened one year, but suddenly I realised that there weren't any left, that nothing was really coming up. So I will be putting those into my home garden. Also, while we're on the subject of calendula, I have these calendula art shades, and they are from Higgledy Garden. This lovely chap called Benjamin, he grows loads of different flowers and sells the seeds, and I've always had really good germination rates from his seeds in the past. What I'll probably do with those though is, because they are different shades and different colours, there's some kind of quite strong reddy colours in there, I will sow those in a separate patch away from the other ones rather than mixing them in together, so I can see which ones are the Higgledy Garden ones and which ones are my self-sown ones. I have got a few leftover straw flowers. I didn't have much luck with these last year. I should say these are just from DT Brown's, and it's called Eternity Mixed. There we are, Eternity Mixed straw flowers. I didn't have much luck with them last year. They got slugged like pretty much everything I tried to grow last year did. I didn't love them. I thought I was going to go all out for them because I do quite like dried flowers and dried flower arrangements. Thought they'd be great. I didn't fall in love with them, but I don't want to waste this seed, and I was happy enough with them to just sort of chuck them in again in my home garden, just scatter them into some gaps. Next up, I have these nasturtium seeds that came free with Kitchen Garden magazine. I don't get the magazine every single month. I don't always like all the seeds that are on the front of them, but I do pick it up occasionally, and these were amongst the free seeds. Again, I have loads of regular, just like the plain old orange nasturtiums that self-seed at the allotment. They're fantastic, and I occasionally get some pop up in the back garden where I've had nasturtiums in the past, but again they've always just been the very plain regular orange ones, and I'm looking forward to this new mix of colours. They'll go straight into the ground, sown direct, and into gaps and things in my borders in my home garden. And then these are the only, ooh, sorry, that's really loud. These are the only ones that I'm probably going to sow, some direct and some in trays. So these are, again, marigold seeds, French marigold seeds that I collected last year from my own garden plants. They really suffered, again, from slug damage in a way that I've never seen before. It was ridiculous. And what I ended up doing was just kind of took this attitude of, I'm not going to get to enjoy these flowers that much this year, but what I will make sure I do is save all of the seed, like as much seed as possible. I left pretty much all the flowers to go to seed, and I've got this really quite big paper bag full of them. And what I'd like to do is to almost like guarantee that I get a good lot of plants this year. So some of this will get sown direct, but the rest of it I'm going to sow probably a tray of them so that I can prick them out into pots and let the plants get to a bigger size than they were last year. Put them out when they're bigger, stronger, healthier, and hope that the slugs do less damage this year. I think there will be less slug damage this year just because it's a much drier spring than last year, but even so, it worried me enough. I'm not taking sort of any chances with those. I want to make sure that there are some good, big, strong plants to go out and tough it out amongst the world of slugs and snails. And then my final bit of flower seed sowing is sowing direct, and it is a butterfly mix from, let me put this up the right way, I don't know how much you'll be able to see, a butterfly mix from Higgledy Garden. Again, let me just cover my address up from Higgledy Garden, and this is last year's seed that I bought and was going to autumn sow it, but didn't, and it was hugely discounted as well. I mean, I think it was maybe £12 or something, and that was, I think, less than half the price, because it's quite a big amount of seeds that you get in there, and it's not stuffed full of, you know, when you buy like the mixed seeds and things, and you tend to have a lot of, I don't know if what they put in there, I don't know if it's perlite or something like that. You get like like husky stuff. So not perlite then, but like always like husky stuff, to kind of husks to fill and pad out the the kind of like shake mix. With this, this is just a massive amount of flower seeds. And what I'm going to do is, again, use this in any gaps in my borders in my home garden. I might sow some into a pot just to see what happens. I don't know if you can have with like a mixed flower pot, but we will see. Can't think why not, so let's give it a try. But more importantly is I'm going to sow some direct at the allotment and have like probably a square or maybe a rectangular patch there somewhere where I can sow these, because I think they'll be fantastic pollinators for, you know, for my plot and for everybody else's plots as well. And then if I have any left over, I will give some to my mum, who is also, she moved last year and she's starting to do work on her garden this year. So that's all of my flower seeds that I'm sowing for April 2022. Now let's get on with the veg. So we'll start with some herbs. Now the only herb seeds that I've got ready at the moment is some Thai basil seeds. This is from Kitchen Garden magazine again, and they're called Harafa Ral Q, and apparently it has attractive red stems. So that's good enough for me. We'll have some of that. I'll probably get, there's a basil that I think holy basil is one that I grew that I really liked, and then there was an African basil which like lived outside really happily for most of the late spring and summer. I might try and get hold of some of that, but we're talking about seeds that I'm sowing in this month, so we will not talk about the other types of basil. I've got two types of parsley that I'm growing here. I've got an Italian giant leaf flat parsley, and this curly leaf parsley, which I can't tell you the name of because I've torn the packet at the top. I don't have a lot of luck growing parsley, but what I noticed is I read on the back of one of these packets just now when I was sorting through them that you're supposed to soak the seeds in lukewarm water for 24 hours before you sow them, or there's a suggestion to do that. I don't know that you necessarily have to do that, and I might give that a go and see if that makes a difference. So I will be growing some other herbs. I've noticed that my thyme has not come back, and I think my problem with growing thyme is that I quite often kill thyme plants, is that I grow on heavy clay soil, and thyme and, well, lots of Mediterranean herbs, they prefer a well-drained sandier soil, and I just don't have that. But I was thinking I can recreate that in a pot, and everything else I seem to be able to get away with growing in the actual garden itself. But I'm thinking that perhaps with the thyme I might just create a thyme pot and put 2 or 3 different varieties in there, because that's the herb that I have missing. And then the other one that I will grow, but I won't start sowing it yet, is coriander, but we'll talk about that in May and June. Another crop that I don't have a huge amount of success with are onions, but I'm giving 3 types of onion a go this year just to see what happens. I had a reasonable amount of success with some overwintered spring onions that I grew in some pots outside, which I think I might have shown you in the last video. They came up surprisingly well. They're red guardsmen, and yeah, I'm reasonably happy with those. I'm kind of picking 1 or 2 every so often. I needed to sow more of them and make a bit more effort with them, but the fact that I sowed them and left them and I have some spring onions ready, like that's pretty good. That's the best that I've had from growing onions. I never seem to get anywhere with growing them from sets either. I have tried to do that again. I had some autumn planted shallot and onion sets, and it's a bit mixed again. It's a bit mixed. I've got some stuff that's still alive. Whether it's actually going to do anything much, I don't know. We will have to wait and see, I think. I've got some white, hang on. some white Lisbon spring onions. Again, this is a freebie from Kitchen Garden magazine, and you've already seen some of these, I think, in the last video, sown in my poly greenhouse. What I'm going to do now is sow them direct outside because it is warm enough. It says that they are ready to harvest in 12 weeks, I think it said. 12 weeks after sowing. So these are going to be good things to sow around or next to something that's going to take much longer to grow, like parsnips and things like that. So those are the spring onions. This one is called Rinsberger, and it's a bulbing onion and is a traditional Dutch variety of onion. It's another freebie from Kitchen Garden magazine. I probably wouldn't have picked it up otherwise. I'm going to sow them direct and just, again, see what happens. Now, the onions that I'm most excited to try are North Holland blood red onions. So I've got these from DT Browns, and the reason why I'm so excited about these is apparently, so it said in the seed catalogue, and it says on the packet that you can have them as, or you can harvest them as spring onions, or if you space them further apart, they will bulb up like a bulbing onion. So I'm quite excited about that. It seems very versatile, and what I'm thinking is I will sow them relatively thickly and close together, and then I will thin them when they get to spring onion size, and then leave kind of big gaps between some of them, and then those ones we'll see if they bulb up to form proper onions, normal onions, the kind of onions that, you know, I'll chop up and use for sauces. I am also going to be sowing some more courgette plants because, unlike everybody else, I never seem to get a glut of courgettes. I get a lot of courgettes, like a decent amount, but I use them so much in cooking, and I leave them to get really big, and I will like bake them, stuff them and make them. I will chop baby ones up raw and have those in salads instead of cucumber. I just pan fry them, put them in pasta sauces. I use them so much that I want a glut. I want a glut of courgettes. So I'm actually going to plant some more plants, sow some more seeds. There are, I think, it feels like there's probably about half a dozen left in here. So some of these I've already sown. This is alfresco. It says it's very prolific, so we shall see. It needs to be. And then I have got these out of date. I'm not sure how viable they'll be. These, let me just check actually the state of the seeds in here. Not great, not great. But some out of date Italian courgette seeds called Chiaro. And I wonder if does that mean white? They look quite pale, so it could mean white. I will be sowing direct at the allotment and in my home garden this Swiss chard. Hold it up the right way, some Swiss chard. There we are. It's called White Silver, and I haven't grown this variety before. I think I tried to sow it. Yeah, I autumn sowed some because I think I'd read in a book or in an article somewhere that it would actually grow over winter outside as well, not undercover, but it didn't for me. But I have got a load of seed left, so I'm going to sow it in spring as normal. I've still got my chard from last year. Chard is actually more of a perennial than people give it credit for, and it's not even undercover or anything, and it's come back and it looks fantastic. It's not going to last forever, but it's certainly going to take me nicely into this year. I'm also going to sow some more of these Market More cucumber seeds. I have got a cucumber called Diamant, and they have germinated. They're looking fantastic. The seedlings look really good, but my Market Moors have not germinated for some reason, and I have grown them before and they've been fantastic. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but I will be sowing the remainder of these because it's a really good variety for growing outdoors, and because I don't have a greenhouse, I'm always looking for good varieties that will survive in the British summer. I will be sowing some carrots. These are free from a magazine, and they are early Nance or early Nance 2. I don't grow carrots very often. I do love the moment where you get to pull them out of the soil, but as I think I said earlier, heavy clay soil is quite stony as well, and that does not mix very well with carrots. But what I thought I would do this year is grow them in pots. I've grown them in pots before and they've done okay. I think I need to thin them a lot more than I have done previously for them to work or grow properly. So yeah, so we will see how they go. I've got two types of turnip that I'm going to attempt to grow. I have golden ball, just, you know, sounds funny, and purple top Milan. These are both seed packets from DT Brown. Now, I think that turnips are a very underrated vegetable. They get a bad rap, I think. They're not, I was gonna say they're not a sexy vegetable to grow, but I'm not sure what vegetable is. But you know what I mean? They don't have that great reputation that they should have. Whereas I really like pan frying them. I love grating them and adding them to salads and things. And they have a really strong flavour as well. You find that with root vegetables, you know, they're there in the soil for a really long time. They have a really great strong taste. So yeah, we're going to be giving those two varieties a go. I'm also growing two types of beetroot. I don't know again how viable these seeds will be. They feel to me like they have got damp in some way. Although, yeah, the little seed packet looks all right. And they're towards the end of the latest date that I should be planting them, so we'll see how we go. But that's just your classic beetroot boltardy. They're not supposed to bolt very easily. The other ones I've got are Crosby's Egyptian. Crosby's Egyptian. There we are. That's better. You can actually see what the beetroot looks like. There we go. They do look amazing, actually. The colour on those looks fantastic. So, yeah, they'll be sown direct, and I'm not sure where. I don't know if I'm going to have enough room in my garden for that, and I think they would appreciate probably a bit more sun than I'm able to give them in my back garden. Let's see what I've got. I've got a scabby little packet of radishes here. I tend to grow radishes for the seed pods rather than the radishes themselves. I just find that I get a bigger harvest from those. So yeah, they will go in and we'll see what happens. I've got some spaghetti marrow seeds that I collected from my homegrown spaghetti marrows last year. They will be sown undercover and then planted out again because I get quite a lot of slug damage on those when they're too small. I have, oh, this is another radish. I have this big, massive white radish. It's called Radish Oval Blanc de Munich. So I would imagine that's white Munich. White Munich radish, and it has quite a long growing period. That's the expression I was looking for, growing period. It has a long one of those, and it won't be ready to harvest until early autumn at least. I have a free packet of Pak Choy seeds, which will also go in probably undercover. I think they're going to be a little bit too fragile to go straight out with the slug families that I have in my garden. They came free with my seed order with DT Browns, and my first lot of lettuce will go in. I do need to buy some more lettuce seeds. This is lettuce moon red. This is a red leafed little gem variety, and I find that little gem lettuce grows really well in a sort of certain areas of my allotment because it's so light and bright and sunny. Other things that I will mention in this video is I will be getting another couple of varieties of lettuce. I just don't know what they are going to be yet. I'll probably just go for a regular little gem variety, possibly something else. I'd quite like to grow a romaine lettuce. Watch this space. And then the other thing that I'm going to do as well is I have left it quite late to sow my own tomato seeds, but it's not too late for anyone who's kind of really worried about that. But what I'm going to be going for are not the beefsteak varieties. I have actually got some seedlings for some beefsteak tomatoes. I'm going to be purposely looking for some outdoor cherry tomato varieties that they just aren't going to need to be in the sun for as long in order to ripen. So I will still get a ripe crop of tomatoes. It will probably be a bit later on in the season. I'll probably get some like medium-sized tomatoes as well, just like your kind of normal tomatoes. The ones that are in between cherry and beefsteak, I'm sure there is a name, but that escapes me at the moment. So we're getting some normal-sized tomatoes as well, because I don't actually mind using green tomatoes in chutneys and in cooking and things like that. So there will be some tomato seeds sown perhaps a little bit later than people might be expecting me to sow them, and a couple more varieties of lettuce. I do need to get some coriander seed, and I think that's it. Like, I think that's enough, certainly enough for the size of space that I have in my garden and in my allotment. If you subscribe to my channel, then you will see some upcoming videos where I am sowing this seed. You'll be able to watch its progress and see which varieties I have success with and which ones I inevitably will not have success with. So thank you for spending some time with me, and I will see you again in the next video. I just realised that my face is so shiny today. It's like a really tacky face. I've got a tacky face anyway.